Hi, this is Sandra with Ever Changing Life. And today I'm going to be talking about the myth that life is not fair. And this is particularly relevant these days. So I was on a summit recently and I was talking about the myth of life not being fair. And I wanted to share that with you today because it's really, really relevant to everything that's going on. I know I've had those feelings myself this past month, and with everything going on in our world and how it's affecting everyone and how it's keeping everyone at home. It's crazy how life has changed. Now, all of our lives have changed whether we wanted them to or not, ready or not. Life may never be the same again. This pandemic has altered our lives and our perceptions, and it's thrown many of us into a state of anxiety. We don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, let alone next week or next month. We just don't know. Now, if we really took stock of how the world works, we don't actually know ever what tomorrow is going to bring, or next week or next month. But when we are put in this position and it's a global thing and it so drastically has affected everyone, it really makes us stop and think. It makes us actually focus on those questions of what's going to happen tomorrow or next week or next month. So it's really just changed our perception. It's not that it wasn't there before, we've just changed our perception. So I've been listening to lots of webinars, and I've been stuck at home like everyone else. Been listening to lots of webinars and podcasts and Facebook, and to some of the top mentors and coaches in the world. And they've all been saying the same thing, that they were overwhelmed, they became overwhelmed, and they had to regroup. And if it's overwhelming for the experts, you can just imagine how overwhelming it is for the people who don't have the tools, haven't had the training, don't have the skills to navigate what's actually going on. So the difference is that the experts have tools and they have training, and it's aided them in rising above that overwhelm. So they have actually stepped up and started helping us do the same thing. Because as soon as they realized the world had changed, they knew that they needed to start taking action and do what they do best, help the rest of us to accept the change and move forward, because we do need to move forward. So let's talk about life being unfair. So do you know who told you that? Do you know who told you it should be? Do you know where that idea came from? It's a good question to ask. Is it something you learned in childhood, or is it something that you developed on your own? Now, most of us grew up in situations where at some point we felt life was unfair, and once we became an adult, we changed that perception a little bit, but not always. Now, I believe that we have all created the life we have. Our choices and decisions and actions have brought us to where we are in this life. So if you think life is not fair or should be easier, in my opinion, we only have ourselves to blame. And I can say with all honesty that it wasn't until I found out about energy that I had even heard of this concept. I was taking a class and the instructor said, "You are 100% responsible for the life you have." And my immediate thought was, well, words I'm not going to repeat here because I just don't think it's appropriate, but they were not good words. I didn't ask for my husband to be a jerk. I didn't ask for my family to distance from me. I didn't ask to grow up in a town that didn't have a college. I could go on, but I'm hoping you get my point. I didn't ask for a lot of things. And I was right. I didn't ask for all those things. the hundreds of things that I had on my list of life being unfair. But over the next couple of weeks, while I was taking this course, I kept thinking about this concept because it really, really annoyed me. And during that time, I started to shift my perspective to be able to see that while I didn't actually ask for those things, I also did nothing to change or stop them from happening either. My marriage was a mess because I didn't speak up. I didn't do enough to change my behavior. I didn't ask for what I wanted. I didn't say, hey, stop that. This is not appropriate. Let's talk about this. I just sat there hoping things would get better. I was just quiet, hoping no one would notice me and maybe things would level out. I did read books and I did take classes and I did watch things to try to fix my problem. I read books like How to Become Happy, How to Change Your Life, how to. But I never actually took action on the things that I read, the things that I had learned. I never actually put any of that stuff into practice. Because every time I started to, or thought about doing it and thought about the consequences, well, the fear of ending up alone overrode taking any kind of action. So my immediate life was that of turmoil and unhappiness. So any action I could have taken to create great change would have altered my life drastically. And I wasn't quite ready for that. So any action I could have taken probably would have just ended my marriage sooner. And there was no way I was doing that. I wasn't ready to end my marriage. I didn't think my marriage should end, but so I didn't take appropriate action to make myself happy or to make good decisions because I was afraid of the extenuating consequences. But once I finally took action and my marriage did end, I started to examine in depth all of the decisions I had made in my life. Then I took those decisions and asked the questions. What could I have done? What part did I play in making my life this way? And you know, in the movies, when someone has an aha moment, well, the angels sing and hallelujah is playing through the speakers. Oh, the lights came on. Oh my God, I was 100% responsible for every choice I did or did not make in my life. Wow, what a revelation. What my whole life boiled down to was fear stopped me from taking chances, from being uncomfortable. I had settled for what I knew rather than reaching for what I didn't know. And there was nothing unfair about it. I had created the life I had. I am still creating the life I have. Today, though, I'm making different choices. Rather than remaining in the shadows, I've chosen to step into the light. I've chosen to be consciously responsible for the life I have. Now, I do have to say, this is not always easy. And I still have days where I have a fleeting thought about life not being fair or hard, but I don't stay there because I know better. It's only as hard as I choose to make it. Staying in that place does me no good. It does the people in my life no good. So I don't stay there. And it's been work, but it all started with a choice. So you need to recognize that you are more powerful than you know. And you are more powerful than you think. And you are more powerful than you live. So if you don't like the life you have, if you think that life is unfair, then start making different choices. start making different decisions. You only get one shot at life in this body. So take 100% responsibility and create the life you want. So that's it for me today. This is Sandra with Ever Changing Life, and I hope you are happy getting back on track.